Thank you so much, man. Good afternoon, coach. Goeiemiddag, Jaden. Coach, net kortliks, weet jy, ek vra altyd dieselfde vraag soort van jou denkwyse agter die veranderings, veral met jou kaptein wat nou onmiddellik sommer in die beginspan begin. Hoekom het jy besluit en die man langs in jou, hoekom bring jy hulle sommer onmiddellik vir hulle terug aan hierdie wedstryd teen Wallis in?
Percy, ek dink ja, as mens kyk vir al die drie sy ou praat van Sia en jy praat van Jaden, ek bedoel obviously Jaden het vir 'n rede het hy nog nie gespeel nie. So dis 'n ons wil graag soveel as moontlik speeltyd in hulle inkry as wat ons kan. En dan dieselfde met Sia, jy weet, as ons het 2 wedstryde voordat ons daai belangrike wedstryd teen Skotland speel wat ons minute onder hulle belt kan kry. En ons voel altyd, luister, as jy begin met 'n ou, hy kan begin en dan as hy na 20 minute, 30 minute, 40 minute, 50 minute, as hy nie meer produktief is nie, dan kan hy hom al afhaal en 'n plaasvervanger opstuur. So ja, dis maar ons denkwyse agter dit, Percy.
Thanks, Gina. Hi, Jacques. Hi, Jaden. Jacques, just with the fly-off situation, we know with Andy not there, and Mani's your only really specialist fly-off. Did you consider maybe giving Damien Willems a start at fly-off this time around, seeing that Mani has played most of the games this year?
Yeah, no, we went with Mani this weekend, Ashfaq, and so Damien is on the bench. And we just felt that that selection probably is the best for us if you think in terms of the 6-2 split that we're going with. So we felt that probably gave us the most options available. And I think if you can recollect, we did start Damien against the All Blacks at 10. Yeah, so he had a good stint as at 10 already in the games that's been available.
Thanks, Sina. How's it, guys? Jacques, how important was it to get Sia onto the field this week? Obviously, last World Cup as well. He came in just before in the warm-up against Japan. And now again, was it very important to get him on there, get some minutes into him, and also just to, build the team now into the World Cup with the main captain on board?
Yeah, Ross, I think it wasn't necessarily going to be this game. I mean, whenever he was ready, and the same with Jaden. Jaden also came back from a long-term injury in terms of his shoulder. So, but obviously there was other reasons. But whenever they were ready, it would have been great to play them, and they are both ready and fit to go now for this game. But if Sia wasn't ready and fit this game, we would have played him the next game, So for us, was it important? Yes, obviously, the more games you have before the start of the World Cup to give them exposure and to give them game minutes, the better, I would think. But yeah, so yes, it is nice to have him for two warm-up games available, both of them.
Hi, Jacques. Just to follow up on Percy and Ross as well, just with regards to Sia and Jaden as well. Just how many minutes will you be guys looking to get out of him in his first warm-up game? Because obviously injuries is a big problem at the moment. We just saw that France has lost their fly-off as well. So I'm sure injuries is something that's, you don't want to lose any valuable players before the World Cup. So how many minutes are you guys looking to get out of Jaden and Sia?
Yeah, I think that like I've mentioned to Percy in Afrikaans, I think as much as they stay productive, the moment they lose their productivity, we'll probably substitute them. And on the injury thing, I mean, injuries is part of it, and that's why I think now, if you look back, that's why we are managing the load, trying to manage the load of the players, and we're trying to split the game minutes between the players, and that's why we had 2 extra warm-up games, or we have we had 3 warm-up games in terms of Argentina, and then now Wales, and then New Zealand, so that we can actually split the game minutes, and split the load. That's what we meant in the beginning when we said, listen, we're trying to split the load between the players, that you don't have to expose them week in, week out, week in, week out. So that's what we're trying to achieve from our side.
Thank you, Gina. Thank Okay, Jacques, thank you, Jaden. The question is a two-part question, one for Jacques, the first part for Jacques, and the second one for Jaden on a personal level. Jacques, what do you hope? I know you always go out to win and you want to win and you want to get momentum in going into the World Cup, but what do you hope to get from the team, or what do you hope to see from the team in a game perspective? And then, Jaden, your personal goals for this game.
Yes, I think in terms of what we would like to see from the team is probably it would be nice to get some momentum going into the World Cup. So in terms of that and momentum, obviously winning a test match will be awesome for us because that builds nice momentum and confidence. But building in all our different departments in the stuff that we're trying to get right and get confidence in before we go to the World Cup. So I would say that would be our ultimate goal in terms of this test match.
Yeah, by my side, I just want to go out there and enjoy it. It's my first time back playing now. I'm just super excited I can get the opportunity to play for the Springboks again. So yeah, just going out there and enjoying myself and giving my all.
Thanks, Hina. Hi, Jacques. Hi, Jaden. Jacques, from a team perspective, what does it mean to have Sia back on the field this week? He's obviously been with you guys training for a while. He seems to be in very high spirits. So what does it mean for you guys as a team? And Jaden, if you can chip in as well, it would be great.
Yeah, in terms of, obviously it's always nice to get a player, experienced player like Sia back, and obviously he's our captain, and he over the last 6 years that we've been involved with the team. So yeah, it's always nice to get a guy back with experience and the leader, and he always brings a lekker vibe. So yeah, no, looking forward to having him back. It's awesome having him back in the build up and in the training sessions. And like you said, he's been part of the team now for quite some time. So I think it's not like he was out. You know, he did his rehab with us, and he was the majority of the time with us. Although he did his own program and his own rehab stuff on the side, he was part of the meetings. He was part of the team sessions. So although he's only returning back now onto the field, he's been part of the team actually from the start, yes. But it's nice to get to have him back and have him playing again, because he's worked hard and he really deserves that, you know. So yeah.
Job, just back on spreading the load. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about, you know, the injuries that have been sustained by the other teams and stuff. But I suppose the other advantage of spreading the load is that you've actually exposed a group of guys now who are in form, like you've mentioned, you know. And now suddenly you almost like feel you have a bit of an insurance policy should there be an unfortunate injury, because these guys don't come in cold, you know, they actually come in form.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. That was the idea behind it. And like I mentioned the other day, I mean, if we probably don't win the World Cup, people will say it wasn't a good plan. But we feel when we planned it and as a group, with all the specialists that we have around us and the high performance people around us, we felt that is the best way. We always said it's. We think this World Cup will be to defend this World Cup will take a squad performance, and you want players that are in form, that have been exposed to Test match rugby, that have been battle hardened. You know, like what we will get this weekend when we play against Wales. It's going to be a nice physical battle. And it's great for us to go. We want to be in form when we hit Scotland in that first game of the World Cup, because as we know we're playing in a tough pool, and we've got a tough route, and you will need to be informed. You almost need to be informed to play knockout rugby from the first game.
Oh, thank you, Zina. Good afternoon, Jacques. Good afternoon, Jaden. Jacques, just take us through your happiness in having Sia back. I mean, I did ask Don yesterday about the attritional nature of these warm-up games and what we saw in the weekend where England and France have key players up. But just take us through how happy you are to have Sia back firstly, and just your trepidation with regards to approaching these matches with the high rate of injuries we've seen over the past 2 weeks.
No, like I mentioned, I think the answer will be Kanisho. It will be the same. Listen, it's nice to have him back. He's worked hard. He deserves to be back. And we actually had a long build-up, the amount of effort and sacrifice that's here put in to be ready now this is probably a reward for him to be ready now and to get opportunity to play. So, and it's nice for the team to obviously have him back, because he's been an integral part of this team for over the last 6 years that we've been together. And yeah, it will be nice to give him some game exposure, hopefully over the next couple of games, to make sure that he's battle-hardened and ready and sharp when we go into the World Cup and into that game against Scotland.
Jacques, hi. Thanks. Hi there. Just also with your physio cap on, Jacques, 115 days between the injury to Sia and being back on the field in a match. I mean, would this have been possible, 15 years ago? I mean, it's testament to his own hard work, but I guess it's testament to medical science and things like that too, as well.
Yes, I think I do. Yeah, my physio hat is old school physio hat. I think a lot of things have changed, and that's probably the beauty of the medical world and the science, and how specialized the support staff of our team and of the other teams have become, is and the amount of effort and how they look after the people, and the high performance environment they put around players who's got injuries. And especially with this group, I mean, we still had a squad of 42 that had to be looked after, so it wasn't just, it was Eben, it was Jaden, it was Sia, Andre, so a lot of guys that were injured and are back now. I mean, they still had to look after the guys that's on the field. So they from a medical point of view, from a physio point of view, and with the physio hat on, the work that they've put in, the performance and medical group was outstanding to look after him, but also not to neglect the other guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Hi, Jacques. So you've talked a lot about Sia already, but his status as such an iconic leader for your country is clear. I mean, has his recovery inspired the rest of the squad, given, as you said, how much dedication he put in?
Yeah, I think he mentioned it. He actually drew a lot of encouragement from guys with previous injuries. So there's a lot of guys within the group that had the same injury as him. And he mentioned that it was always nice whenever he was unsure, he's feeling like this or feeling like that, he always went to them and they said, no, listen, this is good. I felt the same way. And so, yeah, I think it probably amplifies that if you get your head on something and you're willing to work incredibly hard and you've got specialists around you and you're willing to sacrifice everything, anything is possible.
Can you just give us some insight to what he's actually had to go through to get through this? Has it been sort of round the clock physio sessions? Just give us a flavour of what he's going to do.
Yeah, I think not just that. It's the whole holistic approach, So obviously there's in the beginning, obviously he had the operation, the procedure must have been spot on, obviously from the surgeon who did the operation. I mean, it had to be a spot on, neat, tidy operation. And then you obviously go into a physio. Probably the physio's having more of you in terms of getting range of movement back and getting the inflammation down after post-surgery. And then to get the full range of movement pain-free, and then it probably transitions over into the performance team, and from nutrition straight to the strength and conditioning guys, the rehab guys, the physios, so the doctor, the sports physician, then the specialist. It's a holistic approach. So yeah, that's what he went through, and you can only push as hard as you recover. So when he pushed, obviously they had to make sure that the recovery was up to standard. So the soft tissue specialists that we have within our group, so everybody had this. It was a full-on medical team performance, I would say.
Was there any other doubt in your mind, or were you always confident that he was going to come back?
Whenever there's rehab or injuries, you are never 100% sure. You know, they got certain markers that they got to hit over time, and he was hitting them consistently, and even sometimes a little bit quicker than we expected. So, and those markers are I don't want to say scientific, but it's not subjective markers, objective. You know, so does he have full range of movement? Does he have full knee extension? Does he have this? Does he have that? And the moment they hit all those markers, then they can progress to the next stage. You know, so in the beginning you're not sure. You know, a setback can come like this, and then you have to pull back a bit, and you have to wait until it settles down, and then you can push again. So I think I don't think he had one setback in all the markers that he's made.
Question on behalf.
Jaden, actually, I think I would say my captain is CEO. I think how important to have a cell captain in the squad.
Yeah, no, it's always nice to have Sia back. I worked with Sia at the Sharks. He's just a good leader, good player, motivates us well, speaks to me well, gives me advice on certain things. So yeah, it's always been good to have Sia back.
You know, in Wales, we've got 3 different captains in 3 different weeks. For the squad in general, Jack, is that something that's great to have? Just settled captains.
Yeah, we also have a couple of we had a couple of captains as well. I think Bongi led us well last week when we were in Argentina, or the previous test match. The test match before that, I think it was, I can't even remember, Dwayne, and before that it was Eben, and then before that it was Dwayne again. So I think we're blessed in that sense that we have really good leaders, and there's a couple of leaders that leads their franchises in the URC, you know. So we are fortunate in that position that we have really good leaders. But Sia has always, from the start, we said, listen, he is our World Cup captain until he's ruled out. So from the start, we knew we will have interim captains, but he was announced within the group as the World Cup captain until he is excluded of the World Cup if his rehab didn't go according to plan.
It's Wales' final warm-up match. Have you caught any of the games, and what have you made of them, and what are you expecting on Saturday?
Yes, no, listen, we watch all of their games. No, they obviously there's been a personnel change, some personnel change from the Six Nations, and I think if you look at Warren, I think he's backing a lot more. I can't say youngsters, but I mean there's younger players coming through, and there's some older players, especially I would say in the forwards. I don't want to generalize, but I think you guys will know what I mean in terms of the locks, in terms of the loose trio. But if you look at the back line and on those young players, not young players, the younger guys that's stepping in now for the Tipricks and those boys, they are tough. I think the captain, I said the other day, he's almost like a praying mantis over a ball. I think he was leading the stats for poachers in the URC. So obviously they're quality rugby players, and you can see the energy within them. Not that they didn't have, but yes, they were always. I think if you look at statistically the test matches between South Africa and Wales, I think it's 21-19. I think there's 2 or 3 points between the test matches since we've been back from Munster in 2018, myself and Rassie. So I think it's always been a tight affair, and what do we expect from them? Exactly that. We expect it's going to be a grind. They if you look at what they did with England, in terms it was a grind there. So yeah, that's what we expect. It's going to be a proper test match for us, which is awesome.
Jacques, ahead of 29, obviously you won the World Cup, but maybe the preparation wasn't as you would have liked it. Do you feel like this is a stronger squad going in for the title defense?
I definitely think we have more depth than we had in 2019, and obviously we only started in 2018. So we tried to build as much depth as you can, but you wanted to get test caps into players. You want to get players exposure to our style of coaching and the environment. So we didn't probably have the luxury that we had over this last couple of years, where we could rotate the squad, in which we've done frequently. I mean, we made 11 changes to this team. I don't think going forward you will see 11, 12 changes again going forward. There will be changes, but maybe 4 or 5 changes. But it won't be in some games. I think in the Bloemfontein game against Wales, the one that they beat us there in South Africa, I think we made 18 or 19 changes from the one week to the other week. And the reason for that is we wanted to create as much squad depth as possible. Again, we felt that we had that luxury. Obviously, sometimes you do take risk and performance can suffer due to the fact that you change combinations the whole time. And you put the squad under pressure in terms of that. But we felt it was good pressure. They had to build combinations with each other the whole time. So yeah, I think in terms of that, we have got better squad. We have better squad depth than we had in 2019.
I was just wondering, you mentioned 2019 several times as a quite close semi-final in that Wales and South Africa. Are you expecting if that can happen again?
Definitely. I think if you look at the games, it was like even if you take that from that semi-final onwards, if you take the test match we played in Pretoria, we had to really fight hard to get back into that game, and then we snuck it at the end. Then the one at Bloemfontein, we were comfortable, I would say, not comfortable, but let's say we had a 6 or 9 point lead, and then we made some subs and we gave exposure to some guys who's now been the Kurtley Arenses and the Kainan Moody's. They got exposure to test match rugby, and we lost that test match, and then obviously we had the last game in Cape Town. But if you look at the just since then, I mean it's been quite tight, and we had our first victory against Wales, I think in the back end of 2021. I think when we played them here at Cardiff, that was the first time we had a victory in quite some time. So it's going to be tight, and that's exactly what you want before you go into a World Cup. So yes, to answer your question, it can potentially be that tight. It's going to be a grind.
Chances of a Wales South Africa semi-final in France?
So yeah, well, it's always open.
Any other questions from you?
Jack, just the depth that you mentioned, does that give you confidence that as things stand, there's still a long way to go, obviously, but that you can have a successful World Cup defence and win it back to back?
Yeah, obviously that's our mission. You know, we thought it's obviously we have a little bit of a older squad. I think if you look at our squad, not old, but they're 4 years older, and there's probably a third of the team that have probably 2/3 of the team that have been part of that 2019 World Cup. So they're obviously 4 years older. And we always say what you lose with the experienced squad is you lose a little bit of agility and speed and availability of older players. But you get calm heads, you get experience, you get good leaders, like we've mentioned. So there's things that you gain and things that you lose. So I think for us to get backup players that have been exposed to rugby, that have had good performance for us was obviously the route we decided to go after the 2019 World Cup. And yeah.
Can we take a few questions online? You want to ask another?
I was just going to ask for Jaden.
Yeah,
it's obviously four scrum-halves. That's key example of that. The squad depth. Please up. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, it's always good to have competition. It brings out the best out of you. So for me, it's just going out there and enjoying myself and just doing my job and enjoying it. So yeah.
Did you see that as added pressure, there being so much competition? How do you sort of avoid trying to be an individual and try and prove a point to your coach?
Not actually, it doesn't actually, it just brings out the best of you. So for me, it's just going out there, nailing my job and also having fun. And it doesn't bring added pressure. It's just bringing the best out of you as a person and as a player.
Thanks, Zina. Just a quick one for Jacques and Jaden. Jacques, just your selection at lock with the two Munster guys, and then the two wings are also quite interesting. And then Jaden, obviously it's been a tough couple of months for you with the passing of your dad. How do you feel at the moment in terms of that? And do you feel it's almost like you want to play for him also now in this World Cup?
Can I go first? Yeah, okay, so in terms of the locks, yeah, I think Ashfaq, it's literally spreading the load. I think if you look at the game minutes, a guy like RG, he's played the least minutes of our locks. So again, it's nice giving him a start before the World Cup and him getting some proper, hopefully good minutes under his belt before we go into the World Cup. So that's the lock selection that we went with there. It's literally spreading the load, and the same with the wings. You know, it's just spreading the load as much as we can. Mapimpi played last weekend, and Kainan gets another opportunity this weekend. So yeah, it's literally spreading the load. But all of them are like, I think if you look at, I said the other day before we played Argentina, the 3 test matches that we won, I think the first one, Kainan was Kirtley was man of the match. Then the second one that we played against Argentina, I think Cheslin was man of the match. And then the Argentina game that we played in Buenos Aires, Kainan was man of the match. So I think if you look at our wingers, they are all in form and they can produce and play for us. So yeah, it's just literally giving everybody an opportunity and to try and spread the load as much as we can up to so that we can peak when we go into the World Cup in that Scottish Test match.
Yeah, I know for me it's been a tough couple of months. So, but for me the main thing now is just to get into the field and play and just do what I love. So yep, just coming back and enjoying myself. So yeah.
Thanks, my question is for Jaden. Jaden, in terms of you and Grant, just how is your relationship between the two of you guys? And also, again, in terms of that game management, you starting the game and him just coming to accelerate in the second half. How is that working out for you?
Yeah, no, me and Grant, we're roommates, so we know each other well. We're roommates at the Sharks also, so we have a good understanding between us. So for us, it's always friends friends off the field, and then we come on the field, we'll be super competitive with each other. So just to keep each other sharp. So yeah.
Jacques, can you please give us hello? Jacques, can you please give us an up? Hi Jacques, can you give me an update on the progress of Hondre and Lucanio, and if required, would they be fit to start the World Cup against Scotland?
It's Martin, eh? Yeah. Martin, yeah. So both of them are. So I think I've mentioned it, so I'm going to try and explain it again. So Andre is not currently, I would say, he's not injured. He's returning from injury. So his injury is subsided, but he's still in a process of return to play. And obviously with that comes like what we did with Jaden and Sia. There's a process that gets followed by the medical team and by the performance team. So and that's, and I don't want to be too scientific, but there's a certain load that a player must do during the week to try and get a performance on Saturday. So it's trying to expose him to that load and let him get comfortable with that load with his injury and trying not to risk it so much that he re-injures himself. So that's the balance that we sit with Andre. But currently, he doesn't have his calf injury isn't an injury. It's an injury busy recovering. With Lucanio, it's different. So Lucanio is still injured. So he obviously sustained the injury 2 weeks ago, and he's still recovering from that. But he will go in probably over the next week or two. He will go into the same process that Andre is currently in now. So yeah, and what's probably the next question will be, what's the difference between him and Sia and Jaden? I mean, Jaden was probably clear to play probably a month, 6 weeks ago. So they were clear to return to full training and take contact and tackle and kick the ball and all those rugby related stuff, where the other guys are, like a guy like Andre is still busy with that return to full contact, return to full out, having a test week or a full on preparation week. He's still building up that tolerance and load. So that's where he is currently. And how long will it take? Yes, it's like I said, with any rehab thing. if there's a stiffness or a setback or in terms of something that happens, then we step back a bit and we slow down, and then we add load again and see if he can tolerate it. So it's almost like a give and take thing, yeah.
Okay, Percy,
presumably, can I just follow up, just get an answer on, presumably they're only with you though because you have a degree of confidence that they will be fit to play during the World Cup?
Yeah, they're not in the 33. Is it Martin again? Martin, they're not in the 33. So if there's an injury and they go through full progression and they're full on fit and they're cleared by the medical team, then they will be up for selection. But currently they haven't been cleared by the medical team and they are not in the 33 currently. So if they don't get cleared first, that's point number one, then we can't select them because they're injured. And when they cleared and they are cleared by the medical team and they are up for selection, then if there's an injury within the squad, they can get selected. I hope, Martin, does it make sense?
Yes, it just, I remember you saying about a week ago that you were confident that they would be fit for Scotland if required.
Yes, yeah, well, hopefully. I'm not sure about Lucanio. Hopefully, Andre, if he gets cleared by the medical team, and like I say, he's now in the process of returning to, he's obviously returned to training, and now the next progression, so they go RTT, return to training. The next process will RTP, return to play. So he's still busy with getting into that facet of his rehab.
Sina, I'm indebted to you. My question is Jaden, Jacques. For a moment, I just want to ask a general question. Jaden, just as a follow-up question to what I think Ashfaq asked you, can I ask you? Just a week ago, we were introduced. The 33-man elite squad were introduced to the country. Did you ever think, after sustaining that shoulder injury earlier this year and probably being the number one scrum, in my opinion, back then, did you ever think that you would be walking over the stage and being kept as one of the World Cup players last week, Tuesday?
Yeah, no, I think Coach Jacques did ask me this. I was very nervous. So yeah, when they actually asked me, and I was super nervous because I didn't play and things happened that I couldn't play. So yeah, I was super nervous. So yeah, I'm just grateful that I made it to 33. So yeah.